You are listening to the sounds of the spin cycle. Yeah, I'm doing my laundry. This is JARHUMOR speaking. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I actually like about myself and also what I don't like about myself. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I've been thinking about it. I've been writing it down on a piece of paper, which is a little depressing, because that list of things that I want to change, the things I don't like, that's a much longer column than the things I like about myself. Now, don't get me wrong, the things I like about myself are some quality things. Number one is my sense of humor. I feel like I have a very good sense of humor. I call myself JARHUMOR. I better have a good sense of humor. But it's not just that I feel that I'm funnier than any other individual. It's as a sense of humor, much like the sense of smell or sense of taste. I have a refined palate. I know what's funny. You know, I used to be a comedian. One of the worst things about being a stand-up comic is people try to tell you jokes. They're like, oh, maybe you want to, here's a joke, and they always tell you like long, elaborate. They're not stories. Jokes have a structure to them when you tell them on stage. There's a way of doing it, and people don't understand that. And I had that happen recently, even though I haven't done stand-up in a long time. I was just reminiscing about when and they're like some guy I work with. So, as many of you may know, I'm a cartoonist by trade, but I got to work at a grocery store during the day, pay them bills and whatnot. And one of the guys I work with was trying to tell me a joke. I don't even remember the joke. It was a dumb joke. Like, I saw the punchline coming from like a mile away. Oh yeah, because he started the joke with, did you hear about the guy that was blowing his dog? I'm like, what? He goes, all right, this guy goes to the doctor, and he's like, doctor, every time I get nervous, I blow bubbles, and the doctor's like, well, that's okay. He's like, no, you don't understand. Bubbles is my dog. And I swear to the Lord Almighty, that's the way this guy told me that joke. And it was always funny in the way he ruined the punchline so quickly. Not only is it a joke that I have heard in various forms and that requires definitely a level of masking that particular phrase and turning it into something that seems innocent and innocuous, but to ruin the punchline that perfectly, that takes skill. So I have a good sense of humor. I'm happy about that. I really thought this talk would go in a different direction and not mention me. I feel like I shouldn't curse in these things. Did I curse? I don't feel like I cursed. I just said things that were inappropriate. I think there's a difference. So that brings me actually to the other column, things I don't like about myself, things that I want to change. Too many insensitive jokes, too offensive. Now here's the thing. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey buddy, don't you dare change. And I agree. But you don't understand how I am. I'm also like this all the time, even in situations where I shouldn't be. I remember going to a funeral, and I went to two funerals. One was like the funniest funeral I ever went to in my entire life, and it was very tragic because it was for a young girl. But they were playing like songs that she liked, and it's just something about like the jauntiness of that the thing about being a woman, like that song playing while people are sad. Or like I'm in the back like with some other people like snickering. Also, there was a guy in a leather vest, and ladies, don't ever trust a guy who's wearing a leather vest. He was at the funeral. Now the girl was a bartender. It was the daughter of someone my family knew, and the leather vest guy kept trying to inappropriately touch the body, and we're all just like, Oh my goodness, like this had soap opera level drama where two guys had to drag him out, and I'm like, this is the best funeral I've ever been to in my entire life. So when I say that level of inappropriateness leaks into things, one of my ex-girlfriends, her grandfather died. She was Jewish. And I was so excited I got to wear a yarmulke. They gave me a yarmulke at the door, and I'm like, can I keep this? It's like, take it down a notch. Don't be so happy that you got a free hat at some man's funeral. So when I say that I'm inappropriate, sometimes I'm horribly inappropriate in moments that I shouldn't be. And that's what I want to change about myself. For you guys, for content purposes, it's perfect. It's a little seasoning that works with this particular recipe. It depends on who you're cooking for. Certain times when I'm working at the grocery store, it's not appropriate at all. My bosses can't stand me. They consider me a liability. They think I'm going to get the company sued one day for something I say to a customer. I tell people things are too expensive. I tell people things suck. It's like, have you tried that? The customers ask me, have you tried this? Yeah, that sucks. It's terrible. It's not worth that money. You want to pay $20 for that? Come on. You can spend your money on something better than that. Like, I have said that to customers. My bosses can't stand it. They said, stop calling things cheap. All right? It's like, oh, what do you want? You want the fancy cheese, or we got the cheap cheese over on this other aisle? Stop saying cheap. Say less expensive. That's what they tell me. They say less expensive. It's like I can't turn it off. So I want to be able to turn it off. That's something I want to change about myself. So the first thing I like about myself is my sense of humor. The first thing I don't like about myself is also that I can't seem to take certain things seriously. So it's a double-edged sword, right? The thing that I really enjoy about myself, also too much of it, and it's not good. The second thing I like about myself is that I'm a thinking person. I like thinking, I like learning. I have stacks of books next to my bed. I pick one up, I'll flip to a random page. Most of them are like self-transformation books. Self-help books is what we used to call them. They call it self-transformation now. Some of the stuff is very woo-woo. Some of it's more like pragmatic, a little more I don't know, straightforward advice about habits. But then some of it's real esoteric. Some of it gets really goofy and spiritual. Like not just goofy because it's spiritual, but goofy because it's new age spiritual. So that gets goofy. So I like that I'm always thinking and learning and absorbing different things from different religions, different cultures, different things. Sure, I like that about myself. The next thing on the list of things I don't like about myself is that I overthink. I think too much. And I don't apply the things that I learn. I tend to be all talk, very little action. I want to start putting more into action that I learn. All right, if I'm going to learn these things, if I'm going to spend time reading these books and absorbing this knowledge. I was watching The Matrix recently, and one of the things Morpheus says to Neo is, I don't want to do my Lawrence Fishburne impersonation because then I'm gonna try to do it. It's like I don't want to attempt it. He says there's a difference between knowing the path and walking it, Neo. I kind of went into it a little bit, but I always want to make a joke like, hey, Pee-wee, Pee-wee, what if I told you? I'm sorry, I do the Cowboy Curtis thing. I'm sorry. It's fascinating. Lawrence Fishburne, man, he's fantastic. He's from Cowboy Curtis to Morpheus. I have enjoyed that man's work. I tend to overthink things. I don't really apply the things that I've learned. Like I know the path. I'm not walking it. And I want to start walking the path a little bit more. Start using the things that I have absorbed. I don't exactly know what prompted me to write this stuff down about myself. A little bit of self-examination. Know thyself. That what the Oracle was saying to Neo, whatnot. Yeah. Like I said, I watched all the Matrix movies recently, except for the new one. I didn't really feel I needed to rewatch that one. I watched the original and I watched the Animatrix, which is which I'd forgotten how cool that was. Like, that's, but I digress. Let's try to stay on topic, try to stay focused. Somewhere down here, there is something about being disorganized, and certainly mentally disorganized. That's certainly something. All right, let's talk about something else I like about myself, though. Okay, I put down the words care and respect others, and then I have a little arrow going down to the word karma. So I believe in karma, and I believe in caring for things, and I believe in caring for people, and I believe in respecting others. I may make inappropriate jokes, but at the same time, my heart is in the right place when I make these. I do respect other people. I try to exhibit a level of care and respect and consideration for other people. I don't see a whole lot of that. I don't. I hold the door open for people. I wait and let the person pass me rather than just pulling out. Or when they're pulling out, I stop and wait and let them pull out of their parking spot, etc., etc. I try to be courteous on the road, even though some people drive like idiots. I try to just be courteous in life. We're all in this together. It's tough out there. You got to look out for other people. You got to be as nice as you can until they turn out to be, I'm trying to think of like a good word without cursing. Is dildo a curse word? I don't think it is. When they turn out to be dildos, then you gotta distance yourself from them. You don't have to be a doormat. That's, you know what? I'm gonna write that down as something I like about myself. Not a doormat. I stand up for myself. I gotta write. It's at the bottom of the list, so we haven't gotten to it yet. I'm gonna write that down. Because trust me, that list of things that I like about myself is so much shorter than the things I want to change, that it's sad. That right there, looking at it just as a visual, like this, on one side looks like like something you'd write on a Post-it note of stuff you got to do that day. The other thing looks like Santa Claus's list of children that are dildos. I got to find a better word than that. The internet's going to kill me on that one. The robots are listening, and as soon as they learn that word and they know that's a naughty word, they're not going to let me say it anymore. So, bringing. Oh, and one of my favorite lines that I'd never really noticed it, but you notice it more as the years go on in The Matrix. It's the first Matrix movie. Smith has Morpheus held captive, right, at the end of the movie. And he says something to the effect of that when we started doing the thinking for you, I don't remember the exact line, but he alludes to the fact that machines started thinking for humans, and that's when they took control. And I'm like, and as the years go on, and that becomes more and more relevant. That's yeah, that hit me pretty hard. I don't remember the exact line, but it hit me. I should have rewound and just like wrote it down or something. All right, let's go back over. So I respect others, karma, believe in karma. There you go. The other things I have here is poor eating habits, which doesn't have any correlation to the respecting others, but I do have poor eating habits right now. And I find a lot of it is part of what Stephen Pressfield in his book The War of Art calls resistance. Resistance is where you fail to do the thing you're supposed to do. If you're an artist like me, it's doing the art. When there's this thing blocking you from doing it, you find yourself doing other things like sitting and watching TV or scrolling on your phones. For me, it is like watching YouTube videos. I found myself last night, instead of cartooning like I was supposed to, I'm watching YouTube videos of people walking around Disney. I'm watching these Disney vloggers, and I'm eating Cheetos. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I eating these Cheetos? I did 100 crunches this morning, and then I had 2 personal pan pizzas and damn near half a bag of Cheetos. And I'm like, you know what? This is why it feels like you're running in place. It's because this is how you're behaving, but it's part of resistance. I'm sitting on the couch anesthetizing myself with watching Disney adults anesthetize themselves, but at least they're making money from it. And I'm eating Cheetos, and I should be cartooning. It took me a long time last night before I actually sat down at the drafting board and actually did some cartooning. And when I did, I hated what I drew. But we'll get to that in a little bit, or we won't. One of those things is true. Either I'll remember to talk about it, or I won't. I could talk about it. I'm working on a new cartoon for the new video. That's also why I'm watching all the Matrix movies. I kind of want to do like a Matrix, escaping the AI Matrix themed vlog, and I have a cartoon that's kind of related to that. And I had it written down in my notebook, which I carry a little pocket notebook with me, especially when I'm working at the grocery store, in case I get ideas. I want to be able to, write them down. You spend so many hours at your day job, you're going to have those moments where inspiration is going to flash. You've got to have some way of capturing that. Maybe you're not as low tech as me as to carry around a little notebook and pens. I carry 2 pens on me in case one breaks down. I got to have a pen. I could leave my house without my cell phone, but I'll be damned if I leave my house without that notebook and at least 2 pens. Then I feel naked. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that I feel naked. I think the robots will object to that. I think that's pretty lewd of me to feel that way. That's probably what they'll consider that. But yeah, you've got to capture ideas. So I captured this idea one day. I don't want to tell you the idea because you'll see it in the vlog. But one of the interesting things is in the cartoon, I was in the cartoon. I was a character in the cartoon, which I've done from time to time. Especially in the past, I used to be a character in my cartoons. And I'm like, let's make it something else. How about if it's like a cat, but he has my glasses? So I started drawing myself as a cat, and I hate it. It looks like the dumbest furry fantasy. I don't like it. I don't like animals that have human bodies. I got a cat head and a human body, and I hate it. It bothers me, and I'm just going to start over. So I'm going to scrap what I drew, but in the vlog, I think I should show people the train wreck, because that happens with artists. I feel like artists don't show their bad work. I feel like everyone on all the social media only shows off their best stuff, and they practice and they practice and practice, and then they get so good, and like, oh, look at this cool drawing I did. I want to show people the process. I want to show them like, hey, look, this is what happens. I've been cartooning for years, but I had trouble beating resistance. I got rusty. I had an idea that was dumb. My mind fought me on this, my own body, as I'm dragging the mechanical pencil across the paper, and it looks terrible. It looks so amateurish. I don't like it, and I have a good sense of what good art looks like. Which is why I know I'm a mediocre cartoonist. There are so many people far more skilled than I am. Remember, talent is a myth. It's skill. They're far more skilled than I am. The one thing I got going for me is I got jokes. I can draw well enough. That's why I don't call myself an illustrator. I'm a cartoonist. You draw well enough. You put jokes in it. There you go. All right? Good enough. I hate what I drew last night. Hate it. I'm going to start over tonight. I'm going to draw something else. Sometime tonight. Sometimes when the laundry's done, when I get done talking to you folks, at some point, I'd like to beat resistance tonight and do more cartooning. I mean, that is, what I should be doing. So poor eating habits are linked to a lot of things I feel as far as resistance goes. That was the whole thing with that. Let's talk about something I like about myself. I like my imagination. I like that I have an imagination, that I'm very creative. The older you get, the more you appreciate that you didn't lose that along the way. I have almost like a childlike imagination. I'll see a cool stick, and I'll pick it up and start waving it around and stuff like that. I love finding a cool stick. I appreciate that about myself, that I still have a really good imagination. That same funeral where I got the free hat, I got the yarmulke, I'm sitting there next to my girlfriend at the time, and her grandfather's up there, where he's supposed to be in the center stage. He's lying down. He's resting. He's resting. where he should be. It's his funeral, you know. And I got this vision in my head of him rising out of the coffin like a zombie, and like, "Argh!" And I had to control myself from laughing at that funeral. This is also goes back to number one on my things I'd like to change, my inappropriateness, but that's also a use of the imagination. So what I have here, I'm going to skip a couple down because there is a correlating one on the bad list that says imagining bad things. So here's the other side of that sword. Sometimes our imaginations can get away from us and we start imagining bad things. When you have a daydream, or you could call it a fantasy, daydream's pretty accurate. When you have a daydream, it's either positive or it's negative. Sometimes people's daydreams are very fanciful. You know, they're the hero of their own movie inside their head. And sometimes I have these horrible things where I find myself being persecuted or judged or dealing with a difficult person. Like, you imagine things are going to go wrong. That's terrible. I've been reading these self-transformation books for years. What you think is what you get. All right? What we think, we become. Those types of mental rehearsals, that type of thinking, absolutely terrible for you. And I try to catch myself every time I have a negative mental rehearsal. I do try to catch myself, but I do find that imagination that I have also causes me problems. I imagine things are going to go wrong sometimes, that things are bad, that something is going to be terrible. I am thankful that I am often wrong about that. Most of the time I am wrong about negative things. So that's definitely something I want to continue to work on. I think I, to a degree, have worked on it. I used to be a lot worse. I used to not even understand that this was happening to me, that I was doing these things. You sometimes just think that your thoughts just come to you out of nowhere and you just have to accept them. You don't. You can say, stop it. You can say, knock that off. That's not at all how it is. I'm not being persecuted, you know? So going back a little bit on my list of things I don't like, because we've almost run out of things. Not a doormat is the next thing on the list, which I just wrote down with you guys. That's it. That's the list of things I like. That's it. So we're now working from the negative list, the things I want to change. Nervousness, worry, easily disturbed. I am easily disturbed. I don't like that. I like quiet. I don't live in a neighborhood that's quiet. My neighbors are not quiet. They're not quiet people. They're just living their lives. They're doing their thing. They're very inconsiderate, I feel, many times. They play loud music. A lot of the people I live around have like cars that have engines that are like, I don't know if these are diesel engines or whatnot, but they're vroom vroom cars, and there's always like, even in the middle of the night, vroom vroom, and I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. Nervousness, horribly nervous person. One of the guys I work with, who I like, who I'm friendly with, kept sneaking up behind me. And at first it was funny. And then I had to tell him, you had to stop, especially in the parking lot, because I am so worried that you're somebody else. I said, you're able to get punched. I'm like, the next time you do it, you may get punched in the throat. I don't know what to tell you. Stop sneaking up on me. I'm a horribly nervous person. And I'd like to change that. It doesn't seem like that sometimes, but you can kind of hear it in me when I speak. There's a little jitteriness to me. There's a little something. I feel it. And now, I used to meditate. I think that's somewhere on the list, like start meditating again or something. Yeah, start meditating is way down here on the list. Meditation, I think, really helps. I meditated a little today. I think I did 20 minutes. I really should do like a half an hour, but I'm like, it's better than nothing. Sometimes you can do 10 minutes. I have a couple different alarms on my phone. One is for 11 minutes, 11 seconds, 22 minutes, 22 seconds, 33 minutes, 33 seconds, etc. So you get the idea. And I set an alarm. I sit on my couch, close my eyes, fold my hands, and and I start breathing, and I start going through the whole thing, and I do little mantras. So hum is a good one. So on the inward breath, hum on the outward breath. That's pretty calm. That's a calming sort of thing. You could do the cliche om, You do find some other, mantras, and Om Namaha Shiva, Om Namaha Shiva, things like that. I don't necessarily do them out loud. I just do them inside my head, So yeah, meditation. I think I was doing a little Soham, a little bit of my own mantras and stuff like that. It was good. It worked. It works. I gotta keep doing that. What's another one? So easily disturbed is another thing, like one of those. So easily disturbed in the next one, which is judgmental of others, which is funny because I respect other people, but I am very judgmental. And sometimes that judgment takes on the form of a sense of humor, having a sense of humor, but sometimes it's just mean. But also sometimes it's funny. It's both. They could be both at the same time. I was standing at work. This woman came in. She's wearing this tight pink dress, and she was what's politically correct say? She was a lumpy individual. She was very lumpy. That dress was extremely tight and bright pink, and in my head I'm like, damn girl, you look like a piece of chewed up bubble gum. And then I immediately pulled out my notebook and I wrote that down. I kid you not. I wrote it down. I'm gonna have one of my characters say that at some point. I think that would be perfect. But yeah, I am a little judgmental of others, and I think I'm very judgmental of myself. So I make sure that there's no, there's nothing on my face. Like, please tell me if I have something on my face. Please tell me if I have something stuck in my teeth. Things like that. I try to empathize with those types of things, but sometimes people carry themselves in such an awful manner. I'm like, ugh, this guy's gross. This guy's weird. You know what I mean? Like, this person's this person's that, and I'm very judgmental, especially of my neighbors. Why are they so loud? Why do they all have to have these dumb cars with these loud engines? Why do they have to play their music so loud? Why do they have to be so loud? All right, why do they have to be this? And I'm very judgmental. So therefore I'm easily disturbed. And if I don't exactly have the solution for it. Turn away from the things that disturb you. I think that's from the Bible. I think it was Jesus that said that. I definitely need to turn away from the things that disturb me. It's kind of like that turning the other cheek type thing. But what I tend to do in the evenings when I'm home and people are coming home from work and everything like that, and there's a lot of activity is what I call it. A lot of things going on. I put earplugs in. And I try to block it out. I try to not be disturbed by it. But I do have that tendency to be a very nervous person. I think meditation would help. I think the overactive imagination, I feel like I'm in survival mode. I feel like I'm in the jungle, and I hear something rustle in the bushes, and I'm like, oh, that might be danger. And it's not danger. It's just like kids playing or something like that. Like it's just some idiot neighbor yelling. They're talking loud. I'm not in danger, and that's the crazy thing to me, is like trying to convince myself that I'm not in danger. And that's like a difficult thing. But I just put the earplugs in, don't care, try to ignore the things. Being disorganized. I want to be more organized. I said something to myself a while back in one of my voice notes, which are similar to these talks, but they're kind of a podcast for myself to remember what I was doing that particular week. And I said, this is only difficult because you're disorganized. And that hit me. That hit me so hard. Oh, my little... I didn't realize I had a little Bluetooth speaker in my back pocket. And you may have just heard some robot voice say power off. I don't know. I don't know how good this microphone is, if you heard that or not. But I didn't know what that was. I didn't know if my ass just started talking or what. The fact that it had a woman's robot voice, even more disturbing. But yeah, I would like to be more organized. So I capture my ideas, but they're in multiple notebooks. They're in little pocket notebooks. They're in a larger spiral notebook. Sometimes they're on random pieces of paper. Organize your ideas. Organize what you're supposed to be doing that day. Get yourself lists of things. Get your stuff together. I'm collecting too much stuff. I've been going to the Goodwill far too much. It's not even the money I've been spending. I mean, it's a little bit. I feel like I spend more money at the grocery store than I do at Goodwill. But at least with the stuff I buy at the grocery store, I eat it and throw the package away and it doesn't accumulate in my house. With the Goodwill, I have books and DVDs, and it's just like, it's so much stuff that I've got to stop. And I've got to simplify my life. I've got to organize my life. So that's something I want to work on. I want to cartoon and write more, a lot more. I mean, I'm a cartoonist. And the fact that I will skip days, multiple days in a row and not cartoon, that's crazy to me. That's something I should be doing every day. That's, like I said, that's what Pressfield said in The War of Art. It's like what you do to beat resistance is you turn pro. And a professional shows up every day. So we're getting down here. Start meditating. Read more. I'd like to read more fiction. I tend to read too many of these self-help books, these self-transformation books, and those are fine. But I'd like to read more fiction. So at the Goodwill, I bought me a bunch of these, they're not sci-fi novels, they're fantasy novels. But this guy that I found has a really great sense of humor. I had one of his novels from before that I found at a thrift store. And I bought like a bunch of these novels of his. His name is Piers Anthony. The one I'm reading right now is called A Spell for Chameleon. It is the first Zenith novel. And I think this guy's from Florida. Yeah, it says at the beginning that he's... so he's got a little map of like his land, kind of like, like Tolkien has like the Middle Earth like maps. We've seen those. But it looks like Florida. Except it's got a bunch of fantasy names on it. And he's got a really great sense of humor. So I just started reading this. And it's pretty cool. I got a bunch of them, though. Like, I dropped some coin at Goodwill the other day. Because there was a bunch of these books. How many I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. 8 fantasy novels. I've never really read fantasy novels. I've been more of a sci-fi guy. And once again, a lot of my books are don't really have narratives. They don't really have characters. They're just about life and about the mind and about consciousness and philosophy and things like that. And the last thing I wrote is a better work ethic. And I think that goes along with what I was saying, like of turning pro. I think all of these things are connected. The fact that I'm disorganized, the fact that I don't show up every day and do the work. And you know what? This list isn't even... this is just the beginning. But this is my self-examination. This is what I'm currently doing, is trying to sort out what I like and what I don't like about myself. And I think it's also important that I wrote down things that I like about myself. That I didn't just focus on the negative. And I want to continue to emphasize those things in a positive way. Use my sense of humor for good. Use my thinking and my learning for good. And use my imagination for good. Good for myself and good for other people. So there you go. That's basically what I'm working with right now. So, listen, I want to thank you so much for listening. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Going to do my little outro thing. You can find me anywhere on the social media at JARHUMOR, jarhumor.com. Definitely check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JARHUMOR. I'm going to be doing monthly vlogs. I'm working on one right now, even though I haven't made a whole lot of progress on it because, once again, resistance. I'm trying. I'm gonna get it going, get it done. I'm vlogging my cartooning stuff and then other stuff that I'm interested in, stuff I find from thrift stores, etc., etc. I've got a Patreon. You can support my art just by becoming a free member. I post this stuff on there first before I post it anywhere else. So if I do a cartoon, I'll post that there before I post it on social media. If I do one of these podcasts, I post it there first. If I do the vlog, post it there first. That's kind of a catch-all of all the stuff that I put. You don't have to follow me on 10 different social medias. You get as a free member on Patreon, boom, plenty of free stuff, and then I'll make bonus content that I'll put behind that their paywall, get people to give me some money. But that's right, lot of free cool stuff there. So there you go. Anyways, this is the inward looking and the man of change. This is Jar Humor signing off. What is that, man of change? What does that even mean, man of change? Sometimes I don't even know what my mind says sometimes. I swear.